This video is great for anyone who has yet to purchase a Switch, who's considering getting a Switch for someone else in 2024, or who's been thinking about upgrading to a Switch OLED and is nervous to make the jump. Because should you buy a Switch in 2024, given that there is a new console coming, given that it is a slower year, and given that you're kind of in this limbo? I think it's the perfect conversation to have as we approach the 7th birthday of a Nintendo Switch, 7 full years of the system, and we gotta know, is it right to buy a Switch in 2024? What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. I get asked this question a lot, so I thought it was a good chance to talk about my feelings on this, and I think you'll find my perspective to be a bit unique and to offer, hopefully, some good tips on what you should do for yourself, for someone else, or even if you want to just upgrade to the lovely Switch OLED. You can get a Switch OLED right now for $350. You can get a Switch Lite for about $200, and you can get a regular Switch. Well, you really shouldn't get a regular Switch. Sir freaking Prize, you thought I was just a lowly Nintendo YouTuber, but alas, I am the unicorn, Overlord. And my game is dropping on March the 8th on Nintendo Switch, PS4, and PS5, and the Xbox Series consoles with a demo available right now. Make sure to click the link in the description down below to check out the amazing Atlas Vanillaware collaboration that brings so much glory back to the SRPG genre. This game is packed with content, including traversing 5 nations as you recruit over 60 characters, humans, a few crazy creepy beasts, some legendary angels, and elves, and more. Plus, we've got the amazing, gorgeous graphics, which cannot be overstated. I've played this thing, and it looks beautiful on Nintendo Switch. Beautiful might not even cut it. It looks like what a cake tastes like to your belly. That's what your eyes get when you explore the world of Unicorn Overlord. As you move around the world map, getting to dictate and decide your strategy as you gather resources, rebuild towns, and challenge many a foe who've turned against you. Plus train your allies and go on quests. There are so many items and weapons to acquire and use, and the battle system, it happens with beautiful animation. That is perfect for fans of a well-known SRPG series that is also on Nintendo Switch. This one packs in a ton of new features, including a little bit of this, while staying true to the 16 and 32-bit strategy RPG gameplay roots that came before it. So embark on a brand new adventure, demo now, progress carries over, game on March the 8th, click the link in the description down below, and maybe, just maybe, you can join my unicorn army. Now, we have to bring the big elephant carefully into the room. Whoa, careful elephant, you are big. But the Switch 2 is coming. And any conversation about should you buy a Switch in 2024 has to heavily factor in the leaks and rumors that the Nintendo Switch 2 will launch in early 2025, most likely March 2025, to match the same release month as the original Switch. And so when we're looking at should you buy a Switch, no matter how you feel about rumors, leaks, we have to keep that in our heads. And I think that's why so many people are asking now, should I buy a Switch? Because this new one's coming. And I think sort of the typical advice to be like, no, wait, there's a new Switch coming, but it's really not that simple, and that may not even be the smartest move. The one thing I am sure of is you should not get a regular Switch in 2024. There is no reason to get the OG Switch, which is smack dab in the middle of the Lite, the cheapest model, and the OLED, the most expensive model. I think that the Lite is a fine purchase if you just want to get in on the Switch and you just want to play some games. It's cheap. But I think the regular Switch isn't really that great of a value. And it's not only not a great value right now, but it's probably not the greatest of value going forward. One thing to keep in mind is, will your Switch be worth anything when the new system comes out? And I think of all 3 Switches, Switch, Switch Lite, and Switch OLED, the regular basic Switch is going to be the least desired and have the quickest drop in price once the Switch 2 does come out. But waiting for that Switch 2 is also not something I feel is necessary. And there's a few big reasons why. Let's start with kind of an oddball, which is this year is lighter. And that's a good thing if you don't have a Switch. Now that may sound weird because you want to get a Switch when there's exciting new games, but alas, there are so many exciting games, too many exciting games, and I think this year we're going to see the best sales we've ever seen. You might even see great sales on the Switch hardware itself, so keep your eyes out for that. But in terms of games, no one is going to hold back. There's 140 million Switches out there. There's not a ton of huge titles coming out, and so everybody's going to want to try to get a piece of the pie before the new console. They know this is the ripest year for software sales, with the largest install base, the least modern releases, and a player base that is hungry to play something new. So you're going to get a lot of great sales, and I believe sales on first party, third party, and indie games. So buying a Switch this year and taking advantage of all these sales on games that we paid $60 for when they first came out, games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, games like Mario Odyssey, Mario Party Superstars, even Tears of the Kingdom, I think we'll see a sale here or there. That's going to give you great value. And you have so many games to pick from over a course of 7 years of releases that you can probably spend most of your money on the Switch and then use the little bit that's left over on a wide variety of games. There's always great eShop sales from the major publishers, places like Capcom, Square Enix, and more. Nintendo often does big sales around holidays or events, and then you can find retailer-specific sales as well. I think that's one of the best reasons to buy a Switch in 2024 is because there's such a huge library, and that library will be cheaper than ever before because of the way this year is shaping up. Now, in terms of new games, that's not actually too terrible either. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is going to be phenomenal to play on Switch, and I think that's a game that you probably want to get in on if you have any nostalgia for that era of Nintendo games, RPGs, or just Mario in general. And the rumors that Metroid Prime 4 could still debut this year, given that Pokemon is seemingly skipping 2024, means that you could play one of the most anticipated Switch games right on release. You see, waiting for Switch 2, it'll have better graphics, it'll have better performance, it'll have more power, but you won't play these games right now at the same time. But you might play those games also. And what I mean by that is it's heavily rumored that the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible and that many games are going to be cross-gen. Therefore, you could be able to play some of the brand new Switch 2 games on your Switch and not even need to upgrade. And I think that's why the Switch OLED is the best pick for this year. Not only is this system brilliant, not only is this system the brightest, the biggest screen, the most vibrant colors, it's really hard to go back after you played a Switch OLED to any other Switch, but this system is going to provide you the closest experience to a Nintendo Switch 2 and is going to provide you a pretty solid experience in terms of visuals with games that may release cross-gen. Let's say Metroid Prime 4 is cross-gen, and let's say some third-party titles are cross-gen. Let's even say that the next Donkey Kong is cross-gen. You don't necessarily have to get a Switch 2 in the first year. In the first year, even though Nintendo is emphasizing stocking up huge, they'll still be probably hard to get, they'll still sell out, and the scalping market will probably be really obnoxious. Therefore, getting a Switch OLED this year, the best Switch you can currently buy, taking advantage of a ton of sales that are taking place this year, playing a bunch of brilliant looking games like Unicorn Overlord, Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, and Metroid Prime 4, that sounds like a ton of fun. And then when you do want to upgrade to the Switch 2, well, you don't have the OG Switch, you have the Switch OLED, and hopefully it retains some value, hopefully it has some trade-in benefits, and maybe even someone wants to pick one up, because if the games indeed do start off cross-gen like they have on PlayStation 5 and on Xbox Series consoles, the Switch is still going to be a valuable system, and not everyone's going to need to upgrade. Now, I'll be honest, I do think some games are going to be Switch 2 only. I think the next 3D Mario will probably be Switch 2 only. Otherwise, how are they going to get you to migrate over? But again, that's why you pick up the OLED, because it will have the highest resale price as the most expensive console. And if you're going to get a Switch this year, you might as well have the best experience. The games are going to be cheaper, so I'd recommend investing in the OLED model as it is the better, best console. And I think you'll find that it's totally fine to stock up on Switch games because they'll be backwards compatible. So if you are someone that says, no, I want to Switch now, but I also want to upgrade right when Switch 2 comes out, whenever that may be, you'll be fine. You're going to get games at a better price than any of us longtime Switch owners got them at, and you're going to build up a collection and then carry that collection over to Nintendo Switch 2. It does seem like that's probably the murkiest territory if you are sure you're going to buy a Switch 2 on day one. Then getting a Switch OLED this year and a Switch 2 next year, that is an expensive double pack of consoles. So unless you really want to play a bunch of Nintendo games, if you're immediately getting the Switch 2 on day one, I'd really consider it and maybe hold off. But if you're someone that is not a day one adopter, if maybe you'd wait till holiday 2025, or who knows, even beyond then, wait for the first sale price on a Switch 2, I think it's a fantastic year to buy a Nintendo Switch. And I think the Switch Lite is an option if you're completely not sure what you want to do. The reason I say that is because the Switch Lite is the cheaper console. It's $200, and that's way less investment, almost 50% investment of a Nintendo Switch OLED. Now, you might even be able to get a Switch Lite refurbished or used for $30, $40, $50 less. And in that case, picking up a Switch Lite for cheap, picking up a bunch of games that are going to be on better sales than they've been, a humongous already established library, that sounds like a great proposition. Now, do know that the Switch Lite cannot dock. It's much harder for multiplayer. Some games, very few, but some won't play at all, like Super Mario Party, and there's no Joy-Con to detach, so multiplayer will require more controller pickups. I still believe that the Switch OLED is a worthwhile upgrade to make in 2024, even if you have an original Switch. And that might sound silly because someone that upgrades is probably someone that'll eventually upgrade again to the Switch 2, but given Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door and Princess Peach Showtime, and a game like Metroid Prime 4 and whatever else Nintendo intends to drop later this year, I think the OLED is going to be very useful. It does have that slightly bigger screen, it does have much better pop with the colors, and it is going to make those games look and feel a better experience. And if you're going to get in, that also buys you more time to delay the Switch too. I think if you get an OG Switch, you're going to feel like, wow, this is old. This is not vibrant. This is small. This is clunky. The bezel is annoying, and it's going to propel you to get a Switch 2 faster. The OLED might actually keep your wallet protected for a few more months, because with the OLED, you'll be able to play all these great games this year, some of the cross-gen titles, and you'll feel like you have the second newest Switch, not the oldest Switch. We're talking 7 years ago for the original Switch, which again is why I don't think this is a good pickup at all in 2024. I think this is a very good pickup, and this is also a potentially really savvy and smart pickup. Now, if you're buying a Switch for someone else and think they may feel gypped about, wow, why didn't you just wait and get me a Switch 2? Most people don't actually know about the Switch 2. Most people don't believe it or realize when it's coming out, and until Nintendo announces it, you're kind of in the clear. It's weird to think, but unless you're actively and aggressively watching YouTube videos and following the Nintendo scene on the internet, you probably have no clue about when the Switch 2 is going to come out, that it was internally delayed, that March is the rumored release, and so you're just excited about this huge library of games that already exist and can be had at a cheaper price point. In some ways, getting in on a console lifecycle late is actually the coolest, most exciting time because it's the most affordable time. And that can be a big difference between having a large games library that is fun and encourages variety and switching, and having a small games library where you gotta really think and pray that the one game you pick up at full price is going to be worth it. Now, the devil's advocate, other side of the coin, is wait. The Switch 2 is assuredly coming. Nintendo is ready to cross over to the next generation, and why burn money today that you could save for tomorrow? And I totally understand that point of view as well. And I think if you're someone, like I said, that is sure you're getting a Nintendo Switch 2 right when it drops, then you could wait. They could delay it again. It could get pushed to April, May, September. You might be waiting a long time, and you might miss out on the launch of Metroid Prime 4. You might miss out on a few surprise Nintendo releases that they announce later this summer. But if you are okay with waiting even a little bit, I think the Switch is a good pickup in 2024, and I think it's a great pickup if you've missed all 7 years and now you have this insane amount of titles to play. So my recommendation, contrary to what might be the easy, quick answer, is yes. I think the Switch is still a good get in 2024. I think the OLED is the best get. It'll have the highest resale value. It'll be the closest to the Switch 2, and those cross-gen games could still look very good, and you can enjoy this thing for at least a year, and who knows, maybe more. Rumors and leaks and plans are always shifting. We have no guarantee of when Switch 2 is actually coming out, and even when it's announced, that still isn't a guarantee, as we've seen delay after delay hit all the major publishers, including Nintendo with their biggest game in Tears of the Kingdom. It could be pushed. It always could, and you have to consider that. But I think 2024 is still going to be a fun year for Switch, and it's a year where many systems are facing the same, hey, we don't have a ton of great big games. So getting access to the largest library out there, remember, PS5's library, not so big. Xbox Series consoles, decently big, but in terms of exclusives, really small. Nintendo Switch library, exclusives on that console, absolutely massive. So it's a great pickup, a great purchase, and I really do recommend it with the caveats that I mentioned before. But let me know if you're considering getting a Switch this year or getting one for someone else, or if you have any other interesting thoughts and takes that might impact others' decisions. Feel free to share them in the comments down below. And thanks so much for watching, everybody. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.